It reduces emission, strengthens resilience, and improves lives all at once. Excellence. The global climate action agenda designed to help close the gaps. It connects governments, development partners, financial institutions, and communities. So that solution can move faster and reach further. And as we look ahead to COP31, there is a clear opportunity to elevate urban resilience, and particularly the resilience of the urban poor as a central pillar of the global climate action. This is momentum for partnership. BICRAF already brings together countries, institutions, and communities across Africa. What is needed now is to strengthen collaboration, align regional efforts, mobilize resources at scale, and ensure that implementation keeps traction. It is about dignity, it is about opportunity, and it is about ensuring that the most vulnerable are not left behind. Let us work together, ensure that climate finance, innovation, and partnership deliver real change where it matters most. Thank you.
Thanks to Dr. Samed for those remarks as well. And building on those quick remarks and on this same theme that we have this afternoon, I'll call on Right Honorable Abdullahi Absa, the Minister of State, Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development from Nigeria, at least the representation of the same as she joins us on stage. Let's put our hands together in appreciation.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ministers, development partners, private sector leaders, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. In Nigeria, the federal government has continued to prioritize policies and programs that align with our climate commitments and the sustainability development goals. Our approach is firmly anchored on the implementation of the New Urban Agenda, which includes sustainable urban planning, the development of standards in the built environment, and the provision of rest for a low carbon future. Distinguished participants, permit me to highlight some of our key policy elements. Following extensive stakeholder engagement, we have reviewed the National Urban Development Policy, which was approved on 3rd June 2025. This policy integrates climate action by promoting green infrastructure, sustainable land planning, and enhanced
affordable housing
to climate indices across Nigeria. Recognizing the interdependence between urban and rural development, we have initiated the National Policy on Rural Settlement Development and Planning to balance growth and ensure the provision of climate resilient infrastructure in rural communities. We are also finalizing the National Physical Plans standard to guide sustainable. Under the renewable estates and city initiatives, we are promoting climate responsive housing, integrating green spaces, deploying waste energy systems, and developing infrastructure that can withstand extreme weather events. This effort directly supports Nigerian national determining contribution under the Paris Agreement. Ladies and gentlemen, Nigeria has also intensified efforts towards enhancing urban resilience and fostering regional collaboration. We have secured increased budgetary allocation for urban renewal and slum upgrading to improve living conditions for underserved communities. We are currently preparing urban resilience and sustainable plan for selected cities to ensure that climate risks are fully integrated into urban development processes. In collaboration with United Nations Development Programme and UN Habitat, we are implementing the Inclusive, Safe, Resilient and Sustainable Human Settlement Program across the states under the Sahel Resilience Project.
These programs adopt a humanitarian development peace nexus approach to address climate-induced displacements and conflicts. A notable component of the effort is the planning of the Kano-Dada transborder corridor between Nigeria and the Republic of Niger, which will guide strategic climate-informed investment in a region increasingly affected by environmental and socio-economic pressures. Distinguished participants, Nigerians stand ready and willing to actively participate in the GOV program and to contribute meaningfully to its objective. However, achieving transformative impact will require strong partnership and coordinated actions. We therefore call on development partners, private sector actors, and subnational government to collaborate with us in the following areas. 1. Scaling up innovative green financial mechanisms for affordable and sustainable housing. 2. Investing in the domestic production of climate-resilient building materials to create green jobs while reducing emissions. 3. Supporting the adaptation and enforcement of the National Building Code. 4. Partnering with us to establish a national urban observatory for data-driven planning and monitoring of sustainable urban development. 5. Expanding support of urban resilience projects that directly benefit vulnerable and underserved communities. Ladies and gentlemen, this challenge before us is immense. But so too is the opportunity. Therefore, we can collectively reshape the future of our city by making them more inclusive, resilient, and sustainable. Let us work together to ensure that no community is left behind in our pursuit of climate resilience. Thank you all for your kind attention and wish us all a productive and impactful engagement. Thank you.
Asante sana for the remarks representing Right Honorable Attendees, Ministry of Housing and Urban Development from Nigeria. Next up, I'll call on Honorable Judy Namakuba, the Minister of Land, Housing and Urban Development from the Republic of Uganda. She comes to the stage. After her, I will then be calling on His Excellency, beg your pardon, Anna Guriev, to speak right after Honorable Judy Namakuba. Let's put our hands together for Honorable.
Yule gavana anaitwa nani? Ametoka.
Irongo Kangata alikuwa huko chini Said event.
Alikuwa Said event.
Ya smart cities. Tunasikia TV kana tengeneza. Ni wako wenyu?
Excellencies.
Najua vile nilikuwa nakuuliza hivi tukapitana yeye hapo tu wake.
Distinguished experts. Partners and stakeholders. I'm particularly happy once again to be here.
Wajua taki ndio wanatengeneza ile project ya Bomas.
Ile Bomas International Convention.
Nilialikali.
I also
ndio nadhani itakuwa expert. Unajua ni private sector
itamanage partners and institutions for their sustained commitment to the building of climate resilience with the urban program.
Uliona di hizo
as a continuous response to growing climate vulnerabilities in our cities.
Ndio alikuwa anasema
I assigned focal
kitambo
persons
we need something
who have
new.
been part of the program.
Lakini pia ile kusaidia italeta more events.
Alafu naona iko karibu na Wilson, wanataka Wilson ikuwe na international rally.
Of African Union Committee,
Lakini Wilson
STC number 8, which I
Manage
chair. I recall during the World Urban Forum that was held in Cairo, Egypt, together with my sister Wazir,
Tutakwenda Masmara kisha toka
we
event.
held a similar event. And I'm also happy to note that we are making significant progress in as far as DECRA is concerned.
Kwa hiyo
Across Africa, our cities and municipalities are facing intensifying pressures.
unajua ile kampuni inaitwa Saito.
Heat waves and drought alongside the ecosystem
Unaona
degradation,
Bomas wanakuanga na
but
project
also
fulani ya
the infrastructure vulnerabilities, rapid urbanization, often without adequate social planning, and the continued
alikuwa
growth of
ametembelewa na
informal
familia
settlements.
ya ule mtutu ule
These pressures fall most heavily on the urban
kidogo
core.
nikiangalia
And their
kumbe anaishi
resistance,
hizo
therefore,
nyumba za
must
site.
remain at the
Unajua
center
moja
of
kuna
our
hizo
policy
200
planning, but also financing decisions.
Sasa mamansion sasa.
Excellencies, honorable members, DIPRA is well placed
each mansion
because it works
imechukua
well with the
a half
local
acre
communities.
including ka garden ka.
Often, the first responders to these climate
watu
risks
hapa
and
Kenya
shocks.
prices za
It
manyumba
builds on their critical knowledge of
Unasema
the
hivyo what
climate
about
resilient
Ghana?
solutions.
Ghana ni
Through
Hiyo
DIPRA,
hiyo 200
African
million.
cities
Unaweza
can
jenga hiyo
strengthen
maisha
community
mtu anabaki na pesa
centered
mingi.
climate resilience and
hadi kwa
disaster
ya
risk reduction.
Mtu ana
While
kama
also
hiyo
sharing
Safari Park
scalable,
1 acre ni
inclusive,
100
and
acres.
resilient
So
approaches
unanunua acre
across the
unaangusha
continent.
hali
This focus
sana.
on urban communities
Na iko hili shamba
demonstrates
kubwa sana.
Africa's potential
Iko na
to drive
plot
local
na
African
1/8
solutions
times
to
8
local challenges.
equals to 1.
Uganda's experience reflects these
50 by 100
realities.
kadhaa
Our
kama nane.
towns and cities, including the Greater Kampala metropolitan area and emerging secondary cities, face
Unasikianga hiyo ndio the
recurring
only nini
land
inakuwa na
risks,
value.
service delivery
Land,
pressures,
kama ni land bei
and
itapanda,
settlement
kama ni related
expansions in
itapanda.
environmentally sensitive areas. Uganda's population of about 46 million and roughly 1/4 of our people living in urban areas, so our climate and urban development choices must be made with
Nchi
urgency,
zingine
scale, but also
watu wanakuanga na
coordination
senti moja.
using the
Kenya tu ndio
whole
kila mtu
of
anakuanga na
government
senti yake. Mtu wa Coast
It is
kona
in
yake ya
this
Kizungu, wa
response
Nyeri
to these
kona yake, wa
realities
wapi.
that DIPRA offers a
Lakini hizo countries
practical,
zingine utajua.
scalable,
Ya Nigeria unajua.
results-driven
Au
framework
unajua.
for climate resilient urban
Rwanda pia.
transformation
For climate
of our
resilience.
areas. DIPRA
Kwanza
supports
nchi ya
cities
Uganda,
to
itakuanga
apply
fine.
climate risk analytics to identify the most vulnerable areas, embed
Timu yako
resilience and
ya UNESCO kuna mwenye mwingine
solutions
anakam akina
in
nani?
planning, land
Kuna wenye
use,
wamekuja.
deliver resilient
Wako huku.
infrastructure and
Kama nani?
essential services, but also catalyze green
Last
urban
time,
economies and climate smart livelihoods. DIPRA
Kuna ule
also
mdanisi mmoja
strengthens
mrefu.
multi-level
msichana.
governance, financing, institutional delivery systems,
Kuna mwingine.
and aligned city-level action
Wengine
with the Paris
hata mimi wengine
Agreement,
siwajui vizuri.
including our national
Natalia hajakuja.
determined contribution.
Jendo alikuwa ananiambia
Uganda
hiyo
remains
event yenu.
a committed partner in
No, leave your
the
number.
planning
Eh?
and we are part of the regional
Nakwambia, do you
readiness
remember
project
me?
covering
Nasema,
about 20 African countries,
Wewe ni
showing
nani?
our shared determination to move
Remember me?
from ambition to implementation. Uganda has its slate of no objection and has selected cities and municipalities for BIPRA implementation, demonstrating Uganda's readiness for the project. Under BIPRA, Uganda will prioritize community-based and participatory-led approaches, ensuring communities
niambie,
share their solutions,
ni
they will generate
ndio?
lessons, community-driven planning, but also local resilience initiatives. This will also strengthen our ability to integrate local knowledge and live experience directly into planning, implementation in our selected cities and municipalities. Therefore, as chairperson of AUSTC number 8, I call upon fellow ministers across the continent of Africa to fully embrace and advance DIPRA within national and subnational frameworks. Let us demonstrate commitment through concrete steps, submitting the required no-objection letters, aligning national priorities and planning instruments, but also enabling effective implementation. DIPRA is a continental opportunity to unlock financing
Nakumbuka ile
of our
investment
countries,
conference.
scale solutions, but also strengthen institutions
Ilikuwa Carnival.
and protect our most vulnerable
Hata zingine za
urban
kwanza walikuwa wanafanya
populations who
hivyo
have
ati
referred to urban
iko
poor.
Soxy
Uganda stands
unajua
ready to implement
Oh, the
DIPRA
age ile iko
ile
pale.
alafu
and
nakwambia
commit
Convention hiyo.
Ghana iko
ourselves to support the project.
iko
I
carnival.
thank you for
Hapo
your
wakati
kind attention.
wako wanaitisha
Asante
media.
sana. Thank you very much.
Hata ndio nimeona hapa nikasema
hear from His Excellency Anna Guriev, the Chair of the State Committee on Housing and Urban Planning from the Republic of Azerbaijan. Let's put our hands together for him as he takes to the stage.
Thank you. Honorable Ministers, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to address this high-level event under the Second African Urban Forum. Let me begin by acknowledging the leadership of the government of Kenya in convening this important meeting and in championing practical solutions to Africa's urban and climate challenges. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to Her Excellency Alice Wahome, Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development of the Government of Kenya, to UN Habitat, to African Union, for their outstanding efforts in hosting the Second African Urban Forum. Building climate resilience with the Urban Poor Big Crowd program is one of the important avenues for bringing together key partners. Today's discussion comes at a critical moment. Cities both across and beyond Africa are going through a particularly challenging period. They face growing climate risk, rapid urbanization, and increasing pressure on infrastructure and services, further aggravated by multiple emergencies. The most vulnerable communities, those with limited access to adequate housing and social support, are affected disproportionately, hitting the main damage. Millions of people live in informal settlements and slums that often emerge in environmentally vulnerable areas such as floodplains or unstable land, as well as was mentioned by Nairobi's government this morning. Climate impacts are immediate and severe. Despite contributing minimally to the health, marginalized and urban communities are often excluded from climate adaptation efforts. Climate resilience is therefore not only an environmental priority, it is also a social and economic imperative. Advancing resilience must begin with addressing the needs of these vulnerable communities to ensure that no one is left behind. The Big Crowd initiative represents a critical bridge between the global climate ambition and local urban realities, and between policy commitments and investment-ready action. We know that the challenge is not a lack of knowledge. Many innovative solutions already exist. The real gap lies in implementation, scaling up action, strengthening institutional capacity, mobilizing financial resources, and fostering multi-sector engagement. The Big Crowd represents an important advancement into practice, enhances regional preparedness, and supports the development of feasible and impactful initiatives to strengthen the adaptive capacity of urban communities in the face of climate change and disasters. Addressing these challenges requires strong partnership and coordination. Effective implementation depends on a multi-sectoral and multi-level approach engaging governments, development partners, financial institutions, the private sector, and civil. Climate finance will also play a critical role in enabling cities to upgrade informal settlements, improve infrastructure, and implement locally driven resilient solutions. Azerbaijan remains firmly committed to advancing the global climate and urban development agenda. As the host of COP29 and the certain session of the World Urban Forum, and let us not forget the World Environment Day in Baku this June, my country actively contributes to international efforts to strengthen climate action and promote sustainable climate-adapted urban development. Azerbaijan launched the multi-sector action pathway for resilient and healthy cities, or I will call it shortly MAP, declaration at the COP29, which established the Baku Continuity Coalition for Urban Climate Action. This coalition unites both scopes and rules. This initiative aims to enhance coordinated actions across sectors, strengthen partnerships, and scale up infrastructure investment in cities. Promote coherence between climate and urban development agendas. As the host of COP13, which will take place June 17 to 22nd May in Baku, under the theme Housing the World, we will continue to support these efforts by providing a global platform to connect regional initiatives with international partnerships and accelerate implementation. COP13 will present important opportunities for showcasing the regional initiatives, including Big Crowd. Housing and urban resilience will be at the center of the forum program through high-level dialogues, thematic discussions, and special sessions. The forum will feature more than 40 main sessions, over 350 partner-led events, and 35,000 square meter urban expo. For the first time in the WUF's history, Azerbaijan has initiated a high-level leaders meeting, reflecting our strong political commitment to the global development agenda. The high-level dialogues will directly address the issues discussed here today. Dialogue 1, Global Housing Crisis. Another one, Transforming Informal Settlements and Slums. Then the Climate Housing Nexus. And Dialogue 6, a new deal for housing finance. In addition, a special session, Africa Affordable Housing Compact, will bring together ministers, global financial institutions, investors, developers and innovators to highlight Africa's affordable housing sector as a major investment opportunity and to explore financing models and partnerships that can accelerate scalable housing solutions. This is the very synergy and bridge between the African Urban Forum and World Urban Forum, emphasized during the session this morning, including by His Excellency Prime Cabinet Secretary. Importantly, the urban expert will also provide an opportunity to demonstrate concrete initiatives and programs. It would serve as a platform to showcase the BICRAP, highlight pilot projects, and present investment-ready initiatives that support climate resilience and vulnerable urban communities. I don't want to bore you with excessive statistics, but let me underline we are proud of proactive engagement of our African partners on the wide range of the WUF-related issues. Among several new initiatives, we are pleased to announce the launch of the Baku Urban Award at WUF 13, an initiative that will recognize transformative achievements in housing and urban development worldwide. We encourage cities, institutions and organizations from across this continent to consider this opportunity to showcase your innovative solutions. Excellencies, we must move from dialogue to delivery, from commitments to concrete action and from isolated initiatives to scalable solutions. The discussions taking place here in Nairobi will help inform the conversations that continue in Baku at WUF 13, where the outcomes will contribute to shaping the direction of the global urban agenda in the years ahead. I invite all of you to join us next month at WUF 13. The strong presence and active contributions of the African Union, African states, local governments and communities will elevate the discussion and strengthen the outcomes. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Your Excellency Anna, for that invitation, representing the Republic of Azerbaijan, Chairman of the State Committee on Housing and Urban Planning. And now for the keynote on this bigger high-level event, I'd like to now call on Dr. Boniface Baraza, who is the Principal Secretary for the State Department for Economic Planning within the National Treasury and Economic Planning for his keynote address on behalf of the Ministry of Treasury. Let's put our hands together for this keynote.
Thank you very much. I'm delivering this keynote speech on behalf of the CS, that is the Cabinet Secretary, Honorable John Madi, Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury. Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, Development Partners, Private Sector Leaders, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, let me begin by welcoming you all to Nairobi and to this defining moment within the African Urban Forum. Today, we are not merely engaging within the confines of building climate resilience with Urban Poor initiative, but are here to make a continental call to action, one grounded in urgency, responsibility, and shared destiny. Excellencies, Africa is urbanizing at unprecedented pace. Every year, millions of our people move into cities in search of opportunities, dignity, and better future. Yet this rapid urbanization is unfolding in the context of deep structural challenges such as informal settlements, inadequate housing, overstretched infrastructure, rising inequality, and increasing climate vulnerability. Urban poor are not only confined to locations of residence, but they interact with the city in all facets, especially in upmarket neighborhoods, economic hubs such as industrial areas, special zones, etc., recreational areas, and also the central business district. Such areas are characterized by inadequate, resilient, and integrated infrastructure. If not properly managed, urbanization will amplify risk. But if properly financed and planned, it will be Africa's greatest engine for transformation. This is why we must be clear. Urbanization is not just a demographic trend, it is a financing challenge, a governance challenge, and above all, a development opportunity. Fellow colleagues, in September 2023, when we launched the Building Climate Resilience for Urban Poor, or BICRA, strategy, we agreed on one thing, that Africa must act with the urgency to address climate vulnerability where it is most visible in our cities and especially among the urban poor. Today here at the African Urban Forum, we take the next step. We move from strategy to implementation while propagating for additional resources from climate finance and other sustainable finance mechanisms. Over the past 2 years, we have worked stably with countries across the continent to translate this vision into action, and the progress is real. 20 African countries have been invited to be part of co-designing the regional readiness project, with 15 countries having issued no-objection letters affirming their political commitment to craft and advancing the preparation of valuable climate resilience projects to push on the urban poor against advanced climate change effects.
One day to go.
What momentum looks like. But momentum alone is not enough. We must now convert it into scale, and the scale of Africa's urban challenge demands far greater ambition. We are looking for a clear and structured pathway. Our long-term ambition is to mobilize $10 billion for urban climate resilience across 20 African countries. This is not an abstract figure, but as a practical benchmark for what it takes to build resilient and inclusive urban systems. But we are not starting at 10 billion. We are starting with readiness. We are starting with a focused fast phase. Through the Regional Readiness Program, we are targeting the development of a $2.5 billion US dollar pipeline of investment-ready projects. This represents 25% of overall ambition, a deliberate and achievable entry point that allows us to build scale, step by step, grounded in credible preparation and strong institutions. Honorable Ministers, let me be very clear. The future of Africa will not be financed from the outside alone. It must be co-financed from within. We have already seen promising signs of ownership demonstrated through financing. 11 countries have committed $10 million US
salary
dollars
300,000
cumulatively to be financed through the Climate Fund's Readiness Allocation window. In addition, the government of Kenya, development partners, private sectors have demonstrated commitment worth of $20 million US in co-financing. This brings the total early commitment to the current readiness preparation to US dollars 30 million. Much appreciation to this end goes to the Green Climate Fund, Global Environment Facility, Joint SDG Fund, Equity Bank Group, among others. This is not yet the full scale we need, but it is exactly how scale begins. Through shared commitment, through blended finance, and through partnership. Honorable Ministers, the success of Bukrab lies in the ownership and delivery by all of us. Kenya is proud to be at the forefront of this effort. We are actively co-financing the process of Bukrab, integrating it within our national priorities and aligning it with our affordable housing program as well as Nairobi River Regeneration Program. We are demonstrating that African countries can lead not only in ambition but in financing commitment. I therefore call upon all member states, let us move forward, let us move beyond endorsement to investment, let us commit domestic resources, and let us co-finance our own urban future. Why? Because ownership is not declared, it is demonstrated through financing. National governments must prioritize urban resilience and housing in their budgets and commit domestic resources as co-financing. Local governments and cities who stand at the forefront of this challenge must align their planning, land use, and investment with this program. This calls for dedicated budget lines for Bukrab as a flagship program for cities both at the national and subnational levels. Further, the private sector must see this for what it is, an opportunity to invest in the fastest urbanization continent in the world. We need innovation, blended finance, and long-term capital to deliver resilient infrastructure at scale. Development partners and development finance institutions, including the African Development Bank, the World Bank, and the International Finance Corporation, must align their instruments to support programmatic approach like Bukrab, strengthen project preparation, and help de-risk investment. Academia and research institutions must support us with data, innovation, and knowledge, while civil society and communities must remain at the center of implementation, ensuring that what we build is inclusive, practical, and sustainable. In conclusion, Excellencies, our cities, which are on the front line of this transformation, must be equipped, enabled, and financed to act. Let this moment be remembered as the point where Africa aligned its ambition with action, where readiness met financing, where commitment became implementation, and where we began, in practical terms, to build resilient cities for our people through Bukrab. I thank you.
Thank you for that keynote and setting the scene as well for the keynote panel that we'll be having right now. I'll hand over to the moderator for this session, and this will be moderated by Mr. Francois Mengele, and he's the Secretary General of United Cities and Local Governments of Africa, UCLG Africa. As he comes up on stage, he will be taking over this session and inviting his panelists for the next several minutes. And we're looking forward to an engaging sessions. To you, Mr. Mengele, Karibu. Let's put our hands together to him and for his panel as he calls them on stage. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. You've done a great job, much as the presenters have done. As you rightfully say, my name is Francois Mengele. I'm the newly appointed Secretary General of the United Cities and Local Governments of Africa. And I have to moderate this session. And I'm going to call upon
alafu amekaa katikati za tumeshindwa.
Starting with of the county of Kisumu, the Honorable Governor Peter Anyang'-Nyong'o, who has designated his colleague, I think he's in the room. We just spoke earlier. Yes, welcome.